Hey everybody, Marcus C. Williams here, and I'm running for City Council. Today I want to talk to you guys about some options for educational opportunities and where I see benefits in that direction for our city when I get on City Council. So real quick, I could use your guys' help. Please go on my website, volunteer and donate whatever you can do. And right now, I need help volunteering for people to collect signatures or donate. And the two main things I need from you: volunteer to collect signatures, volunteer to make phone calls. Because I know not everybody has capital to donate, but if you can volunteer to make calls or to collect signatures, it would be a godsend. Right now we're working on creating a community first line, which is going to be an independent line, because I believe that our community should be prioritized over all of this other ridiculousness, where it's clear that the city council has their own priorities and you don't matter to them, but you matter to me. So this is why I'm fighting so hard. So I encourage you, join the movement, volunteer, donate, whatever you can on my website, Marcus4Rochester.com. That's Marcus4Rochester.com. Okay, so boom, let's jump into it. So a couple ways that we can actually address the issues and create, I guess you would say, educational opportunity, right? So number one is we need expansion of tutoring, okay, at our rec centers and stuff like that. They just did the city budget and the mayor's budget proposal and stuff a couple months ago. And I was pushing to them to get more investment for tutoring in our rec centers. And they were like, oh, that's part of the schools or whatever, da, 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 da. And that should be this education, this, that, and third. That didn't have nothing to do with the city. Anyway, it was a long fight between me and them. And eventually, I got them to put some money to the side for actual tutoring in the rec centers. I used to go to, I used to go to Swan. I used to go to the Boys and Girls Club. They had tutoring there. So for me, I'm like, well, these are rec centers. Those are rec centers. How come the rec centers don't have additional money for that? Like, it seemed very simple to me that there should be tutoring at every rec center. Like, that doesn't make any sense that it's not. Like, we don't have right now any specific rec centers for adults, which, side note, and this wasn't part of this video originally, I was going to say this, but I believe that we should buy the downtown YMCA and turn it into a community center, because it's got everything that we need there. It's right downtown. It's got swimming. It's got a number of different rooms for events and stuff like that. It's got courts and everything, running, weights, all of that. Everything that we would need for a community center for everybody. And it's right downtown. Like, that's crazy to me that the city hasn't seen the value in doing that. I got a lot of conversation on that. I'm not going to talk about it all right now, but I just ended up hitting on that. But anyway, so I was pushing them to put more money and allocate funding for tutoring already. And we had a great success, even though I'm not even in office. So that's one of the reasons why I advocate so firmly for our community, because I believe in our community and I want to see us thrive. Okay, so expand tutoring. That's very important to me. Then in addition to that, I believe we should have alternative outside educational opportunities outside of school, after school, or even during school hours. Now, some people will say, oh, well, Marcus, how can you do that or whatever? Have you seen the school system, y'all? Like, are we really going to have that conversation? Let me tell you, it's something really clear. As much as I love some of the people on the school board and many of the teachers in the district, I see the struggle there. I lived through the struggle. I went to all Rochester City schools. I graduated from RCSD. The struggle is real. It was bad when I was in. It's gotten way worse. Like, it's out of control. So I believe that we also have to have alternative education opportunities. If somebody can explain to me, like I'm 5, why we don't have a school like they used to have. It was called Josh Lofton. Please look into the Josh Lofton School if you guys aren't familiar with it. Essentially what it was is it was a school that was more, let me figure my words out, right? More secure and more dedicated and tailored to youth that were more disruptive and violent and high volatility youth. Let's say it like that. Now, we know if you guys have children in the RCSD, or if you've ever been to a school or talked to a teacher, they'll tell you some of these youth in these schools are like man, like you're not even able to teach or get a word in edgewise because they're always disrupting the class and it's terrible, or they're acting like they're super villains and they're in school. Like real crazy stuff. Like ask some people, they'll tell you some stories. If you got kids, ask your kids. They'll tell you. This is one of the reasons why the state is trying to get rid of cell phones in school, because they don't want these kids recording what's being taught, and they don't want you to see what's going on inside the schools, really, and the behavior of some of these youth. But that's a separate conversation about a separate thing completely. But yeah, so we need a school back like Josh Lofton, so that the kids that do need that extra security, that do need the type of exact, how could you say, meticulous engagement that is necessary for a highly volatile personality, that they can have it. I also believe that we should have a specific school for those with, what would you call them? Disabilities. I don't want to say disabilities, right? Because disabilities could mean physical disabilities, or it could mean mental disabilities. And I want the people with the mental disabilities, and I hate calling them mental disabilities, but that's what they're characterized as now, because it just doesn't seem to do justice. But people with mental disabilities, that there should be a facility, schools or a facility that can actually educate them. Why aren't we doing that? The city allocates all of this money to the school district, and why aren't we pushing them to make the investments that are necessary? Those are two very necessary investments. I talk to people that work in the school district all the time. They're like, yeah, man, I got these kids with these EEPs and this and that and other letters that I don't remember, but essentially all children with, I don't even know what you call them. I'm trying to be nice and politically correct. I don't know, right? Like developmental disabilities and all types of other stuff they call them. I don't even know. It's hard, but you know what I'm talking about. But they say we got all of these other issues with these kids, and we don't have enough staff, and we don't have the other people. So one was telling me, and might be a shocker to some of you, that because of all of the foreign language speakers, that they took away resources that would be allocated for those type of children and put them to the speakers that don't even speak English. Okay? And we're not talking about speakers of foreign languages that are languages that we've had in our county. We're talking about speakers of foreign languages that have never existed in our county before. So some very foreign and very obscure. There's actually, I heard that there are some other people working to try to, and somebody's going to have to fill in the name of the program, but to teach the parents how to teach so that the parents can be in the schools to teach is some vague thing that I didn't quite understand, but that's something that one nonprofit out there is doing something. I don't know. It sounded, the way it was explained, sounded real shady to me, but but the resources actively were being taken away from those children because of that type of situation. But we know another thing that happens is when there are people that are highly volatile in the schools, extra resources have to be applied in extra spaces, which again takes away from people that really need it. So if we have a specific school or a specific facility that's where they can go to so that they can have all of the equipment, because many of them need additional equipment or supplies or stuff like that, and then teachers don't have to be trying to scramble to get it from all across the district, or even sometimes from BOCES and stuff like that. So we can have focused investment in that. We got a school for the deaf, and we got a school for, we got 2 schools for the deaf, right? Yeah. So we got that. That's a specialty school. Why don't we have a specialty school for this? So I believe that should be something that should be brought up as a focus. Now, that wasn't really where I wanted to go with this, but that's also an important thing, and I think that needs to be talked about very much so also. So please go to my website, donate, volunteer, whatever you can do to assist. Marcus4Rochester.com. That's Marcus4Rochester.com. Because it don't make any sense that we give this money to the school district and they see the issues and they're not addressing the issues. So now we need to put earmarks on the money, and we need to lean on them with a hard elbow, okay, to get them to do what needs to be done, because clearly they're not willing to do it themselves. And if they're unwilling to do it, we will allocate those funds to those educational opportunities, and we will reserve them to be administered by an outside, attendant to make sure that those things are accomplished. Because we can't go on the way that we're going. Well, we could go on the way that we're going, but it's clearly not working. It's clearly not working. So those two things need to be addressed. So we need a school like Josh Lofton for high volatility individuals, and we need a school for people that are physically disabled, and a school for those that have mental disabilities or impairments. Okay, so those are three very focused schools that we should have. Why don't we have them now? We used to have Josh Lofton, but they got rid of that. I got a lot of conversation that we can have on that, but I want to continue forward. Now, with that being said, that we need to focus on outside educational opportunities for kids, even when it's during school time. I believe that when you look at what the socioeconomic demographic is of our city, many of the kids that are attending school don't have a lot of money, don't have a lot of support at home, and they can benefit from not just mentorship, but they can also benefit from apprenticeship and job training at a younger age. And people say, oh, well, you can't do that. Why not? Why not? 13 is when you can get your work permit, right? The whole purpose of the education system is so that people can be upstanding members of society and be able to get gainful employment, right? Is that happening right now? Clearly it's not. Clearly it's not. When we're graduating people that are functionally illiterate, we only got a 65% graduation rate right now. Okay, and we believe that it's 67% graduation rate right now, which most people say is inflated anyway. And then out of those people, the majority of them can't read, can't write, aren't performing on the proficient level. Okay, and then where are they going to get a job at? So then they go into crime. Then they go into despair. Then they go into drugs. So we have all of these additional tacked on things because we're not actually giving them any opportunity. We're not presenting them with the ability to see a better future, and we should be doing that. So I believe that we should give them opportunities from the age of 13 up for those, because look at the truancy rate. Oh my gosh. Like, if you guys look at the truancy rate, I don't have the numbers today, but we have a very serious chronic truancy rate problem. And I don't know what the actual numbers are, but we're talking above 30% truancy. It's bad. It's big bad. Big bad. They don't even have truancy officers, and I got a solution for that also, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. We do need to bring back truancy officers. And I've already pitched a couple of ideas to different groups and individuals, including the Sheriff's Department, in relation to this. So kids need the ability to thrive. The structural education that we provide right now in the school system, or the lack thereof, clearly isn't allowing them to matriculate into higher collegiate achievement or even get a job in the real world. So why wouldn't we start training them younger to be able to go out and get jobs? That's the whole point. That's the whole point. Otherwise, we just get rid of the education system. So I'm not really trying to hear anything anybody else is saying in relation to that, unless you're talking about how you're going to set the kids up for opportunities to thrive. If that's not in our conversation, if your focus isn't the ability for them to become productive members of society, and all you got to tell me is, oh, let a kid be a kid or let a child be a child. First of all, a child, a human youth, is not a kid. A kid is a baby goat, and I don't know about you, but I don't find baby goats to be the most intelligent of all the creatures. You know, so let's stop calling children, small people, okay, kids. Because that's self-diminishing, and that just kind of sets that mindset that, oh, well, that's all that they are to begin with. Words matter. Words have power. And we need to be very choice about the words we use. Now, in relation to that, there are a number of industries that we can set them up to get involved with. There are a number of companies that are coming out with different jobs and they'll need assistance with different positions. If we don't prepare the youth for different jobs and different trades, then there aren't going to have any real opportunities in the future as things become more mechanized, as AI takes over and stuff like that. It's just going to be non-existent. So we need to prepare them now. And we can by setting up structural programs, okay, planning them out for the youth so that they can be productive, as well as exploring other alternative education options, because it's very clear that the structure of the school system is not benefiting the mass number of the people. Because you got those kids that are completely truant and don't even want to go to school because they don't feel like there's any reason and they're not learning anything that's productive. Then you got the other kids that are going to school and they're graduating and they can't read and can't write. Clearly something's wrong and we need an alternative opportunity. So these are some concepts that I'd like to see applied or at least explored so that we can actually work to cultivate those opportunities for those youth. If we don't, let me say it like this, very simply. They say that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And right now that's what's happening with our children. There's no plan for the children's future. There's no plan for them to get into the work system. There's no plan for them to be productive members of society. There's no plan for any stability or growth. What are we doing? We're failing the children. As a matter of fact, I got a lot to say about it, and I don't want to make this seem contemptuous, but I'm not very fond, and I very firmly believe that the school board, no offense, and city council, offense, are stealing away the future of our children and the youth and our opportunities to thrive both economically and create wealth here in our city. And I'm not a fan of it, not even a little bit. So we can start to work towards that. Dream of dreams. Now, city council wouldn't be able to do this part, but this is my dream of dreams, a grand vision if we could. I'd say let's condense high school into middle school, because if you've been to school, public school, high school, middle school, it's exactly the same stuff. Maybe you learn one or two things different, but most of it's all the same stuff. We could put that together into middle school and people essentially be done with all their coursework from the end of middle school. We should make it so that our youth are able to thrive, so that 16 graduating from high school isn't just something that's rare. It's something that is a everyday occurrence. Everyday occurrence. Realistically, they should be able to graduate from high school by the time they're 13. And I'm talking not necessarily the grade as in the age level. I'm talking about the grade as in the knowledge level. Because we've been taught our whole lives, and you hear it all the time, that the younger that you are, the faster you can learn. So why are we purposely limiting the children? It's the soft bigotry of low expectations. And that's not okay for me, and I hope it's not okay with you either. And if you want to see our children have an opportunity to thrive and actually chart a course that's better for them for the future, please volunteer with my campaign or donate. Marcus, the number 4, Rochester.com. I can really use your help right now. We're working on collecting signatures, get an independent line on the ballot. It's going to be called the Community First Line, because we should prioritize our community as elected officials. So, with that being said, I want to close with this. If we don't start thinking outside of the box when it comes to charting a course for our children's future and for the youth of our city, we're going to see more decay. We're going to see more child suicides. We're going to see more victims of drugs and prostitution. We're going to see more despair in our communities than ever before. The rate of despair and hopelessness has grown over the last couple of years exponentially. And we need to show them that there is an alternative, that they can achieve more if we actually invest in them. And we need to do that. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, just throw money at the schools, throw money at the schools. We have the largest school budget in the state, the largest one. We're number 3, or it might even be 2 this year, in the nation. It's Washington, D.C., Baltimore, City of Rochester. Some order of those 3. Every single year. In the top pay per capita per student. We pay more money than it would cost to send anybody through Harvard per student each year. You make it make sense why our children are having such horrible results. So these are some alternative options and some concepts and some ideas that we can work out and see what works and get rid of what doesn't work and implement what does work. Also, I'm a very firm believer in mentorship and guidance and stuff like that. I believe that we should start working and cultivating mentorship relationships starting in elementary school. Why aren't we investing in that? You know, you used to have things like all these after school activities where you get coaches or troop leaders and stuff like this and that would have an alternative option as somebody that could be a mentor for that child. We don't really have that anymore. There are some mentorship programs and stuff like that, but not enough, and not a big enough focus goes towards that. But I've talked before about the importance of cohesive 2-parent households, and this also goes into that. But we do need mentors, and we need people who are able to show the youth that there is a way forward and an opportunity to succeed. There's not enough of that, and we need to cultivate that starting young. I believe we should have at least 3 separate tiers of mentorship, okay, that are actually integrated alongside and run parallel with the school system, because that would be very beneficial. It should start when they're in elementary school. Okay, and after elementary school, we should move to middle school, and then it should go to high school. And what it should do is we should work diligently on discovering what the children's interests are so that we can tailor a mentorship experience for them, which helps them actually grow in that direction. We really, really, really desperately need to reconstruct what works, and we're not doing that right now. We're continuing to beat a dead horse, and nothing's coming out of it but poop at this time. That's what's happening, realistically. So, if you found value in what I'm saying, please do go to my website and donate. And I'm also always open to any other suggestions and concepts and stuff like that. Some people have reached out to me in relation to some other stuff that I've talked about before, and they've helped create different plans and stuff, which when I get elected I'd like to present. But these are some of the things that I believe that we can do directly on, let me rephrase that. I know 100% we can do these things directly through the city council. We just need to focus funding and focus the community together to launch these initiatives. And we can do it, but we have to unite to do it. I'm not able to do it alone. I need your help. So please, volunteer on my website, donate, do what you can. Marcus, the number 4Rochester.com. That's Marcus, the number 4Rochester.com. And I'll catch you guys later. Remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. Be blessed and be well.